Reboot It!
Hey everyone, I'm Ron Swallow, and welcome to Reboot Rewind, the official after show for Reboot It. Today we have the whole crew here to talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let's give it up for Billy Business.
Hello.
Producer Bill. And
Cowabunga!
Ed Greer. Nice.
It sounded like you were about to say Professor Bill, and that's an awesome nickname. I like Professor Bill a lot.
I'll take it.
Is that your father, Professor Bill?
Please.
That's awesome. Well, guys, today we are going to be talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, also known as TMNT. So you guys, how did this one come about? Was this anyone's specific suggestion?
Yeah, his name is Ron Swallow. His name is Robert Paulson.
I did suggest this, didn't I?
Yeah, I remember Ron being very gung-ho about Ninja Turtles. I don't know why. Why was that, Ron? Do you have any recollection?
I mean, I just felt like, one, I think enough people mentioned it in comments that I thought like it might be a good idea to do it. And two, I thought it would be a good challenge because, you know, you have so much history in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that making something new and fresh, but also like still with the same spirit of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would be difficult. And you know what I like to do is make our lives hard. Apparently,
I don't know that. This one was hard. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it, but
yeah,
I think the tough thing about this was like we all came in with more reservations about doing Ninja Turtles than we did with ideas for Ninja Turtles.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think we all. It was funny because like the three of us knew too much, and Billy never knows too little to hear him tell it. But that didn't harm us in that episode at all. I'm just gonna say it. Besides the fact that he didn't know anything and it did not harm us. Nobody should jump on his ass for that because honestly, I think that was it kept us from getting in the weeds.
I'd actually argue that Billy got the most important thing about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is that they're a family of people who have diverse emotions, and that this was a thing that we wanted to do for kids, or at least in the age group that it made sense to sell the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think Billy was definitely on top of that.
Well, Billy and Bill, I think, had visions of it being a Amblin / Pixar situation, which neither you or I thought of, Ron. And I think us going more in that direction, like certain parts of it are super serious in the Disney tradition, and certain other parts are more kid friendly in a Goonies fashion. You know, I think we're trying to do that.
This episode was definitely a ham and peanut butter sandwich. Like we were just working with like very different ingredients, trying to achieve a very different result. That said, though, I will say this: the first 30 minutes of this episode could pretty much be excised completely from your rewatch, and you might have a way more pleasant experience because we spent a good half hour just going back and forth about what should it be, who should we target, what should it feel like, and still didn't really come to a consensus about it. We just talked around the problem a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. How about you, Bill? Billy, what did you think?
I really hate this new gimmick that I'm the guy that comes into these. That there's a difference between not knowing something like He-Man, which was deliberate, and not, blowing my load all over something because I loved it when I was 6. I didn't have that. I knew enough about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I think my stance was always like, of everything I've seen, which was predominantly movies. Like I enjoyed the 2014 one, which sure. The 90s one just wasn't my jam. I saw it much later in life, but my whole thing was like, I still haven't seen anything where they're treated like teenagers. It's always just like they could be anything. They're just talking turtles of a non-questionable age to be doing what they're doing. But it's like, oh, let's glom onto the fact that they're teenagers because I see this stuff as being stuff for like tweens or teens, and you know me, you know my stance by now. I'm never trying to go for the 30 plus crowd on this kind of stuff. So that's where I landed. I think this one was at the time the longest one of my life. I edited it, so it was like triple long for me. But I think this might be the only one that we've ever done where I sent like an under the table text message to Bill that was like, we got to get out of here. Like, people don't understand my office in here. I run like a ton of equipment in here. This office is always 10 degrees warmer than anywhere else in the house. And I'm usually dripping sweat by the end because I have to turn off everything, which is why now I'm just like, screw it. You can hear my fan. But that time I was dripping sweat. We were going for like close to 2 hours. So I don't care. Just make it whatever. Like I'm sitting in a swamp at this point.
All right. Yeah, I watched it just recently. There was 3 main reasons why it was long. 1, too much crap in the beginning. 2, Ed Greer filibusters. 3, once we had a story, sorta, Bill comes in with this, but let's make it good stuff. And that added an extra 20 minutes. Because I think we like around if we had excised that opening giant volley and then got to the story that Bill, I think, was talking about at around minute 51, around minute 21, nobody would, and then sort of stuck with that, I think nobody would consider this such a slog. But I mean, we were trying to make it good because we had spent so much time crafting it.
There was a comment that I was going to use, but then decided not to. But the guy said, this video is actually longer than any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie ever. So,
yeah, this was a weird one. I mean, I totally echo Billy's sentiment that this just was way too long. And it's never a good sign when things start to feel like they're coming together at minute 51. And I think what's interesting was this was our second episode of season 3. And the first episode of season 3 was kind of on a similar trajectory. Like that Flash episode, we were really groping around in the dark. And it wasn't until like minute 40 something, even maybe minute 50, that it sort of all came together like, oh my God, he's the one who's framed for murder. He's on the run. This is how we use the rogues. This episode never really had that moment of clarity where it's like, oh, everything that we've been talking about does fit together if we just turn the Rubik's Cube this way. This one, it's like we spent 50 minutes trying to find a path and like we barely found a path.
Yeah, we were trying to build a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah. Block by block. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I don't think that the final pitch was that bad. And I think that the whole let's make them real teenagers thing worked pretty well as just a differentiator from other Turtles media. I just don't know that we stuck the landing.
Oh, sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, I just said I don't know that we stuck the landing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You could make an argument for that. I think this is a good time to get to the pitch because then I have a couple of questions after the pitch that we'll get into. We'll see if you guys still stand some of your decisions. That's right. I said stand like I'm a youngster.
Hello, fellow kids.
I don't think you used it correctly, which is the funniest part.
I know. The Foot Clan are a ninja cult whose goal is to breach the wall between realities. They hope to bring Lovecraftian creatures to this earth that will help them conquer the world. The otherworldly irradiated sludge produced by the Foot Clan's dark science seeps into the sewers, creating the Turtles and their adoptive father, Splinter. Master Splinter teaches the Turtles and cares for them until they are about 12 years old. One day, Splinter senses dangers and tells his boys to run. They obey, and that's why they don't see the Foot Clan burst into their home and kill Splinter. The boys are utterly lost without their father. They are forced to venture above ground for the first time in their lives, and they find that they are not welcome. But they are just one of the strange things happening in the city. There are even also reports of strange monsters attacking people in the night. Maybe even the Turtles get blamed for these strange attacks, which makes their lives get even harder. When they are at the end of their rope, they are taken in by a friendly community service group who aren't scared of them. One of the group is a nice lady named April O'Neil, who seems to genuinely want to be their friend and mother figure. Who are these people so willing to take the Turtles in? They are called the Foot Clan. The boys are taken to meet the boss who pays for the Foot Clan's housing and training. It's a rich, benevolent billionaire named Baxter Stockman. The turtles are indoctrinated and trained, becoming the best soldiers in the Foot Clan. They do all types of missions, including tracking and fighting the unholy monsters that seem to be taking over the sewers. But this new life fractures the turtle group. Baxter says that the monsters are probably killed Splinter, but Raphael and Donatello want to go find out for themselves, while Leonardo and Michelangelo don't want to rock the boat. This comes to a head when April reveals that she's a reporter gathering evidence of crimes done by the Foot. The Turtles and April O'Neil discover that not only are the Foot basically making the monsters they've been fighting by yanking them into this dimension against their will, but the Turtles also see now that the Foot Clan killed Splinter. In the climax, they stop Baxter from bringing interdimensional god Krang to Earth. They also realize that the monsters they've been fighting are just lost creatures in pain, being manipulated by the Foot Clan and Stockman, just like the Turtles were. So it becomes April, the Turtles and the monster versus the Foot Clan and Stockman. The Turtles make sure that the creatures get back to their home dimension before sealing the portal for good. The Turtles and April O'Neil become the new protectors of New York, but also they become a family. Splinter, I know, that's so nice. We got Splinter, played by Ken Watanabe. The Turtles, we decided to go with unknowns because we weren't quite sure who to have voice them.
We also said that they were going to essentially be like 14-year-olds, so good opportunity to break some young talent.
Yeah, exactly. So then we had April O'Neil to be Candace Patton, Baxter Stockman, played by Walter Goggins, and we had a few directors directed by Rick Famuyiwa, Kathy Yan, or Robert Rodriguez. So, you guys, do you still stand by the decision to kill Splinter?
100%.
It's maybe the only thing that I contributed that was worthwhile in this whole thing. I'm not saying that facetiously or for a joke. It had to happen for the Turtles to be at their lowest. If they're not at their lowest point, if they're not at rock bottom, then how do we get started on this whole adventure? It never made sense to me why Splinter hung around as long as he did.
Yeah,
I honestly...
I agreed without wrecking the episode, which is my major contribution to the episode.
Absolutely. Okay, yeah. I mean, I thought it was I still, when I listen to it, there's part of me that's like, this is really fun and bananas. And there's another part of me that goes, people would be so mad at this movie when, like, older dudes. I think kids would actually like it, though.
Can I tell you what the difference is, though? Like, honestly, what the difference is? And I'm not trying to blast you, Ron, but it's the...
No, I'm not feeling blasted.
It's the first example I could think of off the top of my head. Killing Splinter propels our narrative forward. It's everything, all the emotionality. If that moment doesn't work, our whole movie doesn't work. Snake Eyes dropping a one-liner is clearly just like we're just being flippant about it. That's the difference to me. A lot of times when these people come and they bring their pitchforks to the comments section, that's the difference between, oh, you guys don't understand, you don't know. It's like, no, I'm well aware of what these characters mean, and I think that's the difference. Is that if you're going to kill someone like Splinter, if you're going to kill it off, it has to mean something. If Snake Eyes is going to talk, if you're going to break that rule, it has to mean something. In the G.I. Joe episode, that was just like what are you doing? That's not a good idea. Whereas this was, if I'm going to do it, everything hinges on it. And that's the difference. And I feel like people just still don't get it. It's maddening. It's maddening. You don't have to like it, but get it.
I actually agree with the Splinter part. And the funny thing is, the comments section was actually pretty praising in this episode. Like, the majority of them. There's only one in there that I put in that was semi-negative, and really it was just the guy had a different opinion or whatever. But most everybody, there was very few people who were like, this is blasphemous. Like, most people were like, oh, sounds fun and cool. Like, honestly, which is amazing to me, honestly, because people got so mad about He-Man, G.I. Joe, almost everything we've done, actually, pretty much. and And it's so interesting that nobody really got that mad about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There were a couple of like whatever, but they weren't like you guys are the worst. You should bring in somebody who knows something. No one said anything like that. So that was interesting.
Well, just to interject, and the reason why I hope you didn't feel attacked by me, Billy, earlier, because there are times when I am mad that you don't know anything, but this wasn't one of them because of the fact that you supported it with Storycraft in this aspect. And I think that in this iteration, it was necessary to kill a sacred cow so that we could all eat. You know what I mean? So that's why I just want to, I'm trying to help you destroy the myth, but I'm sorry that I keep bringing it up to help destroy it.
Well, the biggest,
we got Professor Dr. Bill who's going to talk down to you. We have Sweetheart Ron, and somehow my gimmick is just being the dumbass that rolled out of bed, turned his camera on. What are we doing today?
Again, that's why I'm trying to fight against it, because honestly, the whole, you know how affronted I am about the get an expert on here. Why? So we can have a Twilight Matrix Knight Rider every time? Guaranteed? Is that why we should have some expert on this? We should have a Gosford Park expert come in and help us. That's stupid.
By the way, that rant was 50% for show and like 50% like, oof, that feels good. But I'll tell you, I really do like our pitch because I do feel like in the best way possible, it's kind of like you have to know the rules before you break them. And I feel like it definitely has this understanding of what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has been, what it's about, what it is. And it's quite literally just like, here's, a completely different interpretation of it. It doesn't step on anything. All the other ones still exist, but it's just like, if you're going to do it again, because this has been done so many times, it's like, why can't ours exist in this multiverse of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? And I feel like it fits. It's not offensively different,
It's a solid remix. I mean, I think the thing that we did in this one that maybe we don't often do in these reboots is we took a lot of the iconic elements, of which Ninja Turtles has a ton, so it lends itself to this. But we took a lot of the iconic elements and sort of said, how do we use them differently than any other versions of this franchise have used them? So the Ooze became something different. The whole idea of monsters in New York becomes something different. The whole nature of the Foot Clan becomes something different. Baxter Stockman becomes something different. April O'Neil becomes something different. But they're all in there. So it is sort of an interesting magic trick. And I think you can kind of only get away with such a blatant remix with something that's had so many versions that it's almost become rote at this point. Like, this is just adding a little pizzazz back into the recipe.
And I would argue on top of that, we added a story that's like way more interesting. Like, we're taking people who were at their lowest and having some hate group indoctrinate them. That's basically something one of our Jacob Blond said, minute 36, you hit it. It's the story of young boys being indoctrinated into a hate group. And I mean, that's basically kind of what we made. And that's we're telling a story that's relevant in this day and age, because that happens to people all the time. And it's a sad thing. And to see these guys realize what's happening to them and break out of that is a pretty cool story. And instead of just a bunch of guys eating pizza who fight ninjas. Like,
well, I think like when you think about like some of our more successful ones, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, it was very simple. It was kids feel like they're not seen, they're not heard, and so you make it literal. With Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, even though we took the scenic route to get there, I do feel like, again, it's like every teenager feels like they are, going through something that no one else understands. Their body is changing, everything is different, they're feeling all these different things, they're lost, people are pulling them in different directions. And we just made it quite literal with like, these turtles are like, you were this, just this little turtle, and now you're like a person. You have to deal with all of these things. Like, I feel like it's very parallel to some of the better ones that we've done. It just took us a while to find it.
It also was an interesting conversation because we had so much back and forth in the middle of the episode about, well, is there going to be mysticism? Is there going to be magic? Is this all sci-fi? Do we dress up the mysticism as sci-fi or vice versa? And like it took us a long time to even get on the same page about like, well, is there another dimension? Is there not? Is the foot faking everything? Is there like a reality behind what they're faking? Like, we just took so many different roads.
Right, because I think it was weird. There were so many different ways to explore the theme, but again, I think to your point, Billy, the whole jazz about and yours, Ron, the hate group indoctrination. It's really fine to understand that other people that you're being manipulated and break out of your own manipulation. But if after that you don't take a look back and see other people being manipulated or used or messed up and try to help them, you really haven't awakened, have you? And that's why I kind of try to throw that thing about the monsters being real and they're not all just from mutagen or whatever. Like the turtles are from mutagen, and which is a byproduct of the process. But the monsters that are coming through that are menacing everybody are just scared, bewildered things that shouldn't be here in the first place and are being manipulated. And the turtles being a mirror for that and then helping to resolve that issue, I think that elevates the whole enterprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I would change from that pitch, and I remember you and I went back and forth about this in the episode, Ed, is I'd love for those at least some of the monsters to stay in New York, and like that's the one dynamic we've never seen the turtles adopt, which is sort of being the parents, right? And I think it's even more ironic that we're going with much younger turtles, but putting them in this situation where suddenly it's like they have to be full-time caretakers to these weird monster refugees could be an interesting status quo moving into sequels. It's like it just leaves them in a place you've never seen the turtles before.
Yeah,
I would certainly agree with that assessment, but I also think it's one of those things where they couldn't possibly have rounded up every one of these hellions. You know what I mean? If we wanted to keep one, have one, the last dinosaurs, survived the whole thing, and that would be even more tragic because they're stranded here now, and the turtles definitely have to because they blew up the machine and just like, oops, I could have got you home to your mommy, but I guess I'm your mommy now. Eat some pizza for breakfast.
Hey, listen, the other thing that just came to mind as you were talking about dinosaurs being stranded. I mean, this is two franchises now with interdimensional portals underneath New York. Ninja Turtles, Mario Brothers crossover?
Dude, I was just thinking in my head, I was like, bro, multiverse where the John Leguizamo, Bob Hoskins one still exists. Let's cross over there. I'll watch that in a heartbeat.
Dude, and when like Mario tries to like jump on one of the turtles' heads, they kick him in the stomach. It's like, dude, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing?
Mario grows all big and starts shooting fireballs. The Ninja Turtles are just like, what the?
I mean, we're just getting closer to you go to the movies and you just see movie, and it's every franchise. You just go once a year. It's every franchise in one movie. Movie the movie.
Sounds great. Movie the movie.
Isn't that from Idiocracy?
Is it? I've never seen Idiocracy, but it's on my. I know. No.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, way to get away from the Billy didn't see anything.
You know what? I got to be honest with you, Billy. I don't think now.
He's out. He's had this. He's had enough of this Ed Greer abuse.
I can't get past this.
You know why, Billy? It's because you really are just so honest. It's you gotta like stop being honest. Stop being a good person, Billy.
No, screw that.
Is start lying about everything. Pretend you know stuff.
No,
that's the best way to do it. No one's ever gonna catch you.
No, because then he'd be the average internet host, and he is not.
Well, and you know what? I don't think you want to watch Idiocracy right now, anyways. That's wait a couple years, because right now this is
completely beside the point. I rented it back when like Netflix, it was like DVDs, and the DVD was so stunningly awful looking that I was like, you know what? I'll wait till they put this on Blu-ray, and 10, 15 years later now, I've completely forgot to like actually go watch it. That's the literal truth. At one point, I did rent it from the Netflix disc thing, and then just forgot.
It's all good.
It's worth a watch, but is uncomfortably close to reality at this point.
It
so.
is. Yeah,
it's not as funny anymore. Then
it isn't. Honestly, I'm not sure. I mean, it's still pretty funny. They try to water their crops with Gatorade. If you can't laugh at that, I don't know what you can laugh at.
Well, out of context, it's fun. It's less funny than it is in context. So just watch the movie, I'd say.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get to these comments, huh? We had a few awesome comments. In fact, most of the comments were awesome. There'll be one in there. I'm putting one in there that we may like have a conversation about or whatever. But all these, there was definitely some super helpful ones. So here's one we got from Superfly Official. He says, I would have put in Kristen Bell as April. She's just the right age for the storyline you're describing. And if you've seen The Good Place, you know she's capable of being that strong, confident woman who's able to hide her insecurities to call the shots. I don't know about the insecurities part, but a good choice.
It's not a bad choice. I mean,
Yeah,
I still stick by Candace Patton, but hey, nothing wrong with that one either.
And also, we have cast Kristen Bell before as Tiff Tannen from our Back to the Future requel.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And we didn't name her Tiff Tannen. One of our astute viewers, I'm so sorry, I'm forgetting your name right now, but one of our astute viewers said, you missed it. She should have been called Tiff Tannen. Like,
What did we call her?
Karen.
Oh, no. Retroactively, let's rewind that. Tiff Tannen is too good.
It's too good.
Bannon is great.
It's too good. Biff, Tiff, and Griff, shut the fuck up. This is your brother Cliff or something?
Obviously, that's in the sequel.
Yes, Cliff.
He's our Heath Ledger Joker in the sequel, Cliff Tannen.
That's awesome. And then we got another one from Lone Wolf Howling. This is a long one. Most of these are long, but they're good. I say you have Splinter go out for pizza, realizes he is being followed, and has to lead the Foot away from his kids. The Turtles see him leave, and they think he abandoned them, only to find out in a flashback that he was trying to save them, and he knew the only way was to sacrifice his life so the Foot wouldn't track him back to the sewer after an epic battle, of course. Then the tragic irony is the Turtles voluntarily ended up being controlled by the Foot, making Splinter's sacrifice even more heartbreaking. And that's part of the reason they come back together. And you can have April be part of the group that killed Splinter because she started to fall for the cult's lies. I don't know about this part. It was only when she met the Turtles, or better yet, Splinter's last words, that she realized not all mutants are monsters.
You can't have her Anakin, man. Like,
No,
honestly,
I
that's
agree
the
with that
one
part.
thing where it's just like,
No.
woof. I could, this is besides the point, but it's like I could live with everything being okay if Anakin just stood back and watched someone else kill the kids. But the minute he takes the thing, it's over. You can't redeem it. Sorry.
Nope.
April's the same way. It's like, dude, this is not Fast and Furious. You cannot invite her to the barbecue at the end of the next movie if she killed your dad in the last one. Not happening. Everything else,
agreed.
I think, is fine. I think that's all good stuff. Those are all good thoughts.
And also though, and I love Lone Wolf, but all of that stuff is in the pitch. I hate to be that guy, but all of that stuff is there from the abandonment. The abandonment that they feel, that their dad goes, get out of here, and the fact that they joined the very group who killed their dad. I mean, literally, like, rewind a little bit. It's in the pitch.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. But the Anakin, like, just April O'Neil brainwashed, gleefully stabbing a rat in a kung fu robe.
No,
I don't think so. I don't.
That part's
think
not
so.
good.
That
The rest
one's
of it
rough.
was interesting, but no, we can't have that. We can't have April be killing Splinter. That's a bad look. Now we got one of the most important ones that I think that we have here. This is from Miguel Trujillo. Miguel says, they always hate on Ron for bringing up Tom Holland, but Billy brings up Liam Neeson every episode.
Okay, that should be your trope. Not knowing anything with the Liam Neeson.
I can't even think
Let's put
off
that
the
in
top of my head the other episodes that I've been.
He hasn't. You haven't. That's why I thought it was funny.
Weird.
That is a total joke comment. It's not even like a real.
I don't
I
get
think
this
we.
show
I think
anymore,
we.
man.
I think
I've
we brought
aged
him
out
up.
of it. I've aged out of this damn show.
They're coming
No.
for Billy. They're
No.
coming for him.
We've brought, dude. You do not
Also,
exacerbate
they're
Billy's.
they're
Go.
they're
By
never
the way,
mad.
Liam Neeson is a fine actor. I don't know if he's still
He is.
persona non grata anymore. I don't know. I don't know. But
Yeah. Probably. He said some pretty weird things. But I would also like to point out that they don't get mad about me suggesting Tom Holland. They get mad about me suggesting Jensen Ackles. All right? Get it straight.
I think
Get
Tom
your-
Holland has been right for the role at least once or twice.
Once or twice.
Uh,
No, I just
Ron,
don't. Go ahead.
Sorry, hold on. Ron, we get upset about all of it. I don't know what you're telling yourself to get through this, but we do get upset about all of it.
No, you love the Tom Holland thing. You guys love Tom Holland.
No.
Let's not pretend you don't love Tom Holland, guys. This
I
is
just want to agree with Bill, and it definitely all sucks, but it is a runner at this point. We got to deal with it.
That I think the reason why Liam Neeson potentially comes up a lot is for at least a little while, he was the cheaper option to add just a little bit of like class to your movie. If you couldn't get the Anthony Hopkins, if you couldn't get, when Sean Connery left, it's like, who can we get to just make this feel just like 0.5 more distinguished? Liam Neeson, throw him in there. He
does add gravitas.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That one
The
was
one
mostly a joke, by the way.
Well, the one I remember you suggesting Liam Neeson for, now that you say that, was actually Gandalf in our Lord of the Rings reboot.
That's a great use of the Liam Neeson card. If I can
I'm
only
not
use
saying
it,
it's not. I'm
if I
just
can only use the Liam Neeson card once a season. So far, I think I'm 2 for 2. I'm batting 1,000 with my Neeson card.
I think you did pretty well too. So let's get to the one sort of negative one. I mean, just a long. It's interesting how long the comments of the people who disagree with us are. So here we go. Red 8, I think. Red VIII. The thing is, the 1990 movie pretty much already did it perfectly. The only way to improve it would have been to make it R-rated and improve some of the fighting scenes, maybe. But the tone you want to nail with Turtles is the dark tone they nailed with the 1990 movie. You also want Shredder as the villain to keep it grounded as possible. Sure, it's about 4 mutant turtles, but adding Krang, Dimension X, aliens, and stuff too, it just makes it too weird. The original comic story was the best one. That's why the original movie took exactly that story. I'm sure there are some other great comic storylines that are grounded that they could take, but the first one is definitely the most memorable. So yeah, I'm not sure you just remake the first movie again, but at least you need to hit the same tone. You need to make it darker and target the adults that grew up with the original comics and movies. And if you want to make a Turtles movie that isn't just some mediocre thing again, then make it R-rated. I mean, is this about what makes the most money, or do you want to make the best Ninja Turtles movie? That being said, I'm not saying it's impossible to make a great PG-13 Turtles movie. It's been done with the first movie, but I don't think you can do it much better than the first movie did it without trying something different. There you go, guys.
Well, I can answer.
He told us to
one
try
question
something different.
very, very quickly, which is yes, it is about making movies that make money. Done. I don't think it's mutually exclusive that you make a good movie and one that makes money. That's ridiculous.
It is.
Anyone else want to chime in? Because that's about all I have to say about that.
No, I mean, it's so funny how complete a caricature this comment is of everything that we try to stand against with this show, because he hit all the tropes. The idea that making it more violent is better. The idea that if you don't make it more violent, you're selling out. The idea that it needs to be a complete translation of the original work. The idea that it's already been done so well, you kind of have to do the same thing or else you're going to betray. I mean, this guy is checking every box on the rebooted villain bingo card. I mean, it's amazing.
And all I wanted to say is, as a person who is at least nearing that demographic of people who are just like, I'm old, I like my old thing, I was heavily involved in how, as all of us were, involved in how this story played out, and was very excited about this story because for one of the first times, the mutagen actually made any sort of sense. And how it changes them in that sort of world of the monster thing made sense for once. The Dimension X thing never makes sense. Just being a human being, thinking you could tap into Eldritch powers and bring kaiju from another dimension into this dimension and you're somehow going to be able to control them, never makes sense. But it's the type of Elon Musk thought that rich people have. You know what I mean? So I could let that slide. And other than that, we had fighting. We had them. Maybe I wanted maybe some of the people to be mad at us for making them part of the Foot Clan, because straight up, How does Master Splinter know karate in ours? And I do say karate because I'm trying to make them mad. How does Master Splinter even know karate? I would posit that maybe our turtles learned kung fu in the Foot Clan.
Yup.
How's that for blasphemy, you losers? You know what I'm saying?
That's a T-shirt. Oh man, when we
How's
open
that
up
for
our
blasphemy,
T
you
Public
losers?
No
shop,
losers.
how's that for blasphemy, you losers?
I just want to point out that the first movie isn't that much like the comics. It really isn't. It's a little bit like the comics, but it's not as big into the comics as he thinks it is. Like it's,
That's
I mean,
fair.
sure, yeah. So, anyways, all of that is a mess. But thank you for leaving a comment.
Yeah, can I just real quick go down a little bit of a tangent? Aren't we at a place where we can say definitively that making something R-rated doesn't make it better? Like, it just baffles me that there are still people out there with that idea that, like, oh man, if it's R-rated, it's going to be so much better. And I'll say that because, like, Logan, fine, was a better Wolverine movie than we had gotten before. But also, like, the fact that it was R-rated didn't fix the fact that the story was kind of shitty and kind of redundant. And, like, you look at the Deadpool movies, and for more thoughts on that, check out Hot Takes with Billy Business featuring producer Bill. But season 2. But you look at the Deadpool movies, and fine, he can swear, but, like, again, it doesn't fix fundamental problems with the viewing experience. And I don't know, this idea that, like, well, the only way to make it true and real is to make it rated R. And people say the same thing about Batman, and it's like, I don't know, man, like, that's not where the story lives unless you're going to literally make a story about violence or sex or anything that can only happen in an R-rated movie. So
Batman, I see it a little bit. Like, you could probably make a more compelling argument, to me at least, about Batman. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, my man, if you make Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and kids under 17 cannot go see this thing, you've lost before you've even started.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Plain and simple. It's over. Forget it.
well, and I guess I'm just pointing out from a craft standpoint, from a script standpoint, like, I agree with you. I see the argument for Batman, but I think if you consciously take Batman into an R-rated direction, you're ultimately going to make that story about violence. And you're going to make that story about the fetishization of violence and the utility of violence and the harm that doing this incredible degree of violence actually causes people in society, right? So it's this, again, the same way that Logan did. Like, yes, that movie took pains to become gruesomely violent because it was trying to tell you a story about gruesome violence. And so, again, if you're not going to do that, then it's just gratuitous. Then it's like, well, I just want to see people's arms get chopped off. That's why it needs to be rated R. At which point it's like, I can't take your argument seriously. I don't know.
And also, last things last on this guy or this question. In the comics, which I have read a lot of, especially the early Eastman and Laird ones, interdimensional jazz is there almost from the beginning. It isn't in the very first adventure, but it's very close on the heels of that. Is interdimensional stuff. And one of the main reasons why I love to put it in this story, or I love that we put it in this story, is that it gives the turtles like this, for lack of a better word, our dimension protector status or something. Like, they're this weird cryptid thing that's on our side for once, and they're an eldritch of Lovecraftian creature in our estimation. But they're still good guys because of a certain amount of nature and nurture. I mean, excuse me, a certain amount of nurture, and I just think that's cool. That's I don't know, that's cool. And it's like they have a bigger place than just pizza eaters who kick guys in the head in that presentation.
Totally agree.
I mean, look, I'm not saying there isn't a place for pizza eaters who kick guys in the head, but that's not what we're doing. Like, the goal that we have here is to take a franchise and reboot it and to add something great to it, to add more theme, to add more story, to add more emotional moments. And when we pull that off, like I think we did with this eventually, it makes it better in my mind.
It's also one of those things that you definitely can't make the argument that you haven't just gotten pizza eaters that kick people in the head, because you've literally gotten it on almost a yearly basis for the past 30 years between movies and cartoons. So, and the other thing is, you go to that original story and essentially, I mean, subconsciously, the Ninja Turtles were Daredevil but weird looking, right? And like the fact that they were weird looking was kind of incident, like it didn't mean anything in the larger context of the story. Like it was just a clever visual gimmick. And so the fact, to Ed's point, that we could take that and turn it into something that's meaningful in the context of the story and that you could actually get mileage out of moving forward, I don't think that makes it worse. I think that makes it better. But what do we know?
Yeah, absolutely. So then we got Curtis Colward coming in with a little more positive and a casting opinion. Boys. Yeah, you have to say it like that. I assume that's how I have to say it. You were doing so well. Then you spent a long time debating which older, bigger name actress to cast as April O'Neil before making a sharp left turn to cast Candace Patton, who's neither older nor a big enough name that compares with who you had considered. You also forgot the real correct answer, Kerry Russell. Keep up the good work. First off, Curtis is one of our fans from Nerd Goat as well, and showed up to the live Batman one at the LA Comic-Con. So thanks for being supportive and hanging out with us, Curtis. We really appreciate that stuff. His wife came as well, and they're both super fun, creative people. So I'll being said,
yeah, I just wanted to take responsibility. I just wanted to take responsibility for veering us away from that, Jazz, because I infected us with the idea that a good actress wouldn't like our script for some reason. I was a real jerk toward the end of this episode. Maybe my balls was sweaty too. I don't know what was happening. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I was just like, come on, dude. Julianne Moore is not looking at this and Boogie Nights and going, "Yeah, I'm gonna pick this." It's just not gonna happen. So, like, what the hell? But then, and so I think we ended up with the giving a TV actress a big role or whatever. So I just want to take personal responsibility for that. Oh, and the fact that we weren't making this the whitest thing since sliced bread. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That is fair, but I will say, as far as a MILFy TV actress who is still a fairly big get, Kerry Russell pretty much fits the bill.
I agree with that.
Kerry Russell's pretty great. Yeah, you're right.
I'm planting the flag even deeper. I like Candace Patton, and I think she could nail it. Yeah, she's not on the older side, but okay. So
listen,
neither was Sawyer on Lost, and they just kind of not Sawyer, the band guy, the Hobbit that was the drug addict. That was supposed to be like a really old rock star. But then he just nailed it. So they're like, oh, screw it. He's in his like late 20s. So same thing here.
No, totally. By the way, I think Candace Patton is due for a movie role, and I think this would be a good one for her. Which is what we said.
She's got to get out the Flash, man. She has got to get that thing. Is just the Titanic. Like that.
It is.
I'm not even talking about the quality of the show. I'm just talking about like viewers are just like leaving it. And I'm just like, now is the time. Strike, get that big movie role. I think this is the type of movie that she needs.
I would agree. And
Danielle Panabaker too. Danielle Panabaker.
Yeah, I think she's good. She was.
I think she's okay.
I've
kind of got.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of got a little Ed Greer with Florence Pugh thing for Danielle Panabaker. So,
which one? Who does she play?
Killer Frost.
Oh yeah, she's great. She's great.
I think she's not on the same level, I think, as Candace. If you were to do like an acting off, I don't know how you do acting competitions, but if you were to do an act off,
man,
that's fair. That's fair.
The subjectivity involved with that is so intense that I don't know.
It's purely there's a scorecard. It's like boxing. You can scientifically choose.
Oh yeah,
right on cue, wrapped on cue.
All I know is if you need someone to walk across a linoleum floor in high heels and a short skirt and give you a very wounded look, Danielle Panabaker is your girl.
Hey, that's one of the events. That's one of the events in the act off.
All right. Well, we got one last comment. This one's a little more helpful and a fun comment as well. We got it from Sam Anderson. A little bit of a long one, but here we go. As a big fan of the 90s film, I really appreciate the sort of tone struck here. Basing it in an emotional trauma around Splinter, having a cult, April being a surrogate mom, all in both the OG and this reboot, and nothing feels copy and paste because of the utilization. Also, younging up the turtles is a masterstroke. I could see it in my head like these 5'4" turtles with Jacob Tremblay voices making quips whilst doing kung fu. I do wish, though, that you flat out went with Baxter Stockman as the cult leader. He opened up the portal by accident and has been using it for you guys, I can say words, I promise. Megalomaniacal capitalist gains ever since. Yes, doing this would shift the cult into a more Court of Owls-ishian turn, but I digress. Oh, and you cast Lakeith Stanfield as Stockman because, obviously.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that?
I don't know what's obvious about that, but at the same time, we have started to cast him as weird smart guys. So that's kind of, I guess, why, obviously. But the thing about I think we ended up making it like the guy's basically Stockman, but Stockman again is one of these stock elements of the Turtles, and it's hard to understand how many times he's been involved in all these reboots and how hacked that is. So I think we tried to hedge our bets by making him just sort of an industrialist, Maxwell Lord type or whatever. But
God, come on, don't do that.
Well, I am saying though, I mean, if we're going to be brutally honest, he was about as well developed as a character as Maxwell Lord was in the Wonder Woman
excuse me, he did not access the other dimension with a wishing stone. Okay, I'm just going to put that out there.
Okay, I acquiesce to that point, Sa.
I like them. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, but I just think one last thing I wanted to, it wasn't a thing of defending our story necessarily, but it was like this thing of like the corporatization of the Foot. I kind of liked in some way. I keep remembering quotes from the episode, like Bill going, I'm not even committed to the Foot Clan being martial artists. And I just felt 1,000 just click off the videos, on that. But I think we really did it, for the Foot Clan to be a thing and for us to not be slave to the Shredder mythos. It was going to have some corporatist function. And like the Foot Clan being the stormtroopers of a giant corporate cult, that's an interesting take at the very least.
Well, there's something really fun, too, to the idea that, like, when you meet them, you think it's sort of like this weird underground, grassroots, collectivist, whatever sort of ism you want to put to it. But really, it's just another sort of capitalist appendage of this guy who is trying to play God and is just doing it in a lot of different ways. I mean, it's cynical, but also I feel like there's something to be learned or appreciated there.
Absolutely.
And last things last, our thing is closer to the most popular conception of these characters. If we're going to be venal capitalists, let's get nuts. The most popular version of these characters is not black and white comics that sold, let's say, 3 million copies cumulative. It's the thing that every child watched on Saturday morning and has watched on Saturday morning for 25 years. That's the most popular version of this, not these apocryphal texts that I enjoy and love and revere. But that's not the most popular version of this, period. It's not.
And did you just quantum leap back to the previous comment just so you can get that out?
I just
that was 2 comments ago, wasn't it?
No, it just makes me mad that there's this concept that like R-rated version would work better because the very first comic from 1902 was written that way. That doesn't mean it's the most popular. I fall into that stupid ass trap of like the original thing is the way you need to go. We're trying to make movies.
It can be, but I just think like that's just not what this is. There probably is a version where it's R-rated and it's for the adults. Look, there was that short film that of the Power Rangers that went viral. It was like a 12-minute short with James Vanderbeek, and it was like super violent and gritty. And people were like, this is awesome, and people like me were like, sure, I guess. Like, I'm sure there's a version where R-rated works. It's just not what we did. That's not what we're interested in, or what we were interested in at this point. I just don't think that that's super appropriate for like a 12-year-old. Like, I just don't. You start to get into like the kick-ass territory where it's like you kind of have to laugh because it's kind of horrifying if you look at it on its face. Like, I don't want to see a 12-year-old kid like committing heinous acts of violence. I don't want that. So maybe your version works, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Flesh it out, send it through, and see what happens. But for this one, it wouldn't work.
For that to work for Billy, it would have to be AMNT, Adult Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I mean, and that to me is much more interesting. I want to see like a Ninja Turtle having to get his driver's license at the DMV. Like, that's refinancing their house. Like that's the stuff that I'm interested in.
Do and blow.
One time, not like all the time, just one time because they wanted to try it out, and then nothing bad happened except for they cleaned their house and then they felt like crap the next morning. All right,
dude, he's sprinkling it on his bow staff. Take a sniff of this, Raph. No, I just want to. Go ahead.
Raph tries to come up with a way to sell us a bunch of workout shakes.
I could see Raph being like Mark Wahlberg in Pain and Gain. Like he's if you did Pain and Gain with Ninja Turtles, like that's the R-rated version I would probably try to go for rather than dark and gritty.
Oh yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Funny. Well,
also Michael Bay, so who knows? That could happen.
Well, before we get out of here, I do want to read just 3 quick comments that are all nice, happy ones. Jacob Blond said the synthesis between the 4 of you on this episode is great. Michael Notabart said this is probably my favorite episode that you've done. And then Morithmon Hans said what I think is hilarious. I think you guys just pitched TMNT, Fantastic Interdimensional Beasts, and where to find them. That being said, I'd be down for such a movie.
Having never seen that movie, okay.
Neither. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you haven't.
Now this is 2 things where I've apparently referenced that I don't know. So
great. I'm glad I brought all of these things up for you guys, Billy. I'm glad I made you feel great today. That was my goal, was to make you feel even more uncomfortable about all of our relationships. God damn it!
Happy to be here.
That was totally not my goal. I really love Billy. In fact, let's be real. Of all the people who make really stupid throw out really stupid ideas, I think we all know who does that the most and who doesn't mind doing it the most because he's dedicated. This guy.
See, I thought it was Tom Holland that did that. That's what I was expecting.
No, it's Jensen Ackles that does that.
Oh, yes.
No. If anyone's throwing out bad ideas, you got to know it's Jared Padalecki.
Yeah,
that is the smartest thing you've said today.
Put some respect. He's Walker, for God's sakes.
You go walk your ass into cancellation.
Oh. Okay, well, guys, I guess that does it for today. We had fun talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I just want to say we appreciate you guys leaving these comments. They always make us happy, whether they're positive or negative. I think, look, you know what? You're right.
I'm not going to go that far, but sure.
Before we get out of here, I'm going to make a new suggestion. You start leaving comments about how smart Billy is, or I won't suggest Jensen Ackles or Tom Holland for anything ever again.
We're doomed. We're doomed.
Not gonna have the effect
What situation is this?
Wait a minute. Maybe I didn't do that right, guys. Either way,
I would never hire you as a hostage negotiator. Like, all right, just throw their dead bodies out. That'll be fine.
we'll throw the money in. You throw out their dead bodies. Everything's cool.
Just kill a couple people to show me you're serious before I get you that helicopter.
Oh, by the way, the pilot's one of our agents. He's going to hit you in the back of the head when you guys are over the GNC. Don't worry about it.
Oh, man.
Good
Guys,
time.
that's a hilarious SNL sketch, by the way. I think we may have inadvertently just like pitched an original comedy, The Worst Hostage Negotiator.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching this ridiculous stuff that we do today. Oh, wait. We got
Wait,
more
can I-
producer Bill?
Yeah, can I say one more thing? Guys, this Thursday, you know what's happening.
What?
The Snyder Cut is out.
Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute, is it really coming out this Thursday? I thought it was like on the 18th or something like that.
Well,
I think it's the
no, it's the 18th. It's Thursday
Oh,
the
It's
18th.
well, anyway, it is this. It's because we're recording this early.
Yeah.
Thanks for breaking kayfabe, Ed. God,
I know, damn it! I'm so sorry. I just wanted to brace for impact, and you told me that it was coming on Thursday. I wasn't ready. I haven't built
Hey,
my wall.
it's totally cool. It's totally cool.
It's like
I
the
will
bars.
not edit
You
this
have to
out.
put
I will
bars
not
on your
edit.
windows on the 17th.
I have it taped up. I have it weather stripped all over on my windows. Yeah, I
well,
wasn't
let's not bury the lead. I mean, I know that Billy does not feel good about this, and he may not even join us. But at least for me, Ed and Ron, next week we're going to do a little Justice League rewind with a little Snyder Cut commentary, of course, sprinkled in, because how can we not?
Yeah, which means I'll be forced to watch it.
Oh, we're all going to be forced to watch it, but we can get our catharsis that, of course, we're not going to get afterward, because it leads, guys, don't you know, it ends on a major cliffhanger because Snyder is trying to convince WB to continue with his genius vision. So we're not going to get that catharsis from the Snyder Cut itself, but we will get it from shitting on the Snyder Cut the following Saturday.
What if I like it? What if we all end up liking it?
Billy's out. Billy's out.
Billy's out, you guys.
Hey,
So,
I'm
for
gonna like it. I plan to like it just to spice it up. That's I'm gonna like it. I'm decided.
I reserve all opinion. We'll see.
yeah,
we will
I'm gonna
see.
watch it with an open mind. So, for Billy Business, producer Bill, and Ed Greer, I'm Ron Swallow. Thank you guys for watching another reboot, rewind. Dang it! Thank you for watching a reboot, rewind, you guys. I love you. Bye.